Nice, you see me?
Well, Fred.
We're nice, you see me? Yeah, man, we're nice, man. You see we rock? We jam the rock. You see me at the event? Yeah. So we think jam rock, yeah.
In the early 1990s, Shabba Ranks stood atop the global music scene. With his signature baritone voice, electrifying dancehall rhythms, and hit records that dominated radio and clubs alike, he became the first Jamaican dancehall artist to win a Grammy Award. But Shabba was more than just an artist. He was a movement. His influence reached far beyond music, as he introduced dancehall to an international audience in a way few had before, helping transform it from a niche sound in Jamaica into a global phenomenon. Dancehall was no longer just a Caribbean genre. It was a cultural force that would leave its mark on music worldwide. Shabba's rise to fame symbolized the potential for Jamaican music to reach mainstream audiences and transcend cultural barriers. Yet just as rapidly as he ascended, his career took a dramatic turn. A series of controversial public remarks, some of which reflected his raw, unapologetic persona, derailed the momentum he had built. These remarks caused major labels and media outlets to turn away almost overnight. What exactly happened to Shabba Ranks? How did his words, and perhaps his attitude, contribute to such a swift fall from grace? And where is the legendary DJ now? This is the story of a musical icon who changed the game, fell from favor, and left behind a complex but enduring legacy. A legacy that would go on to influence not only reggae and dancehall artists, but artists in genres as diverse as hip-hop, pop, and reggaeton. The story of Shabba Ranks is one of triumph, controversy, and ultimately, redemption. Humble beginnings in Jamaica. Born Rexton, Ralston, Fernando Gordon on January 17, 1966, in Sturgetown, St. Ann Parish, Jamaica. Shabba grew up in the tough yet culturally rich community of Seaview Gardens in Kingston. From the outset, his environment shaped his perspective on life. Kingston, Jamaica's capital, was not only known for its economic challenges and social disparities, but also for its vibrant music scene. Dancehall culture was deeply embedded in the fabric of daily life, and it was in these streets that Shabba found his inspiration. His father, Ivan Gordon, worked as a bricklayer, a modest trade that provided the family with a humble lifestyle. Unfortunately, his father passed away in 1990, just as Shabba's star began to rise, leaving a void in his life that would motivate him to push even harder for success. His mother, Constance "Mama" Christie, remained a pillar of strength throughout his journey. She not only raised Shabba and his siblings, but also benefited from his eventual success, as he sent money back home to uplift the community that had nurtured him. From an early age, Shabba was drawn to the energy and power of music. He was influenced by a range of artists, but it was the local sound systems and the work of DJs like Josie Wales that really sparked his passion. A defining moment occurred during his teenage years, when he took a job collecting bottles at an event where Wales was performing. Rather than doing his assigned work, young Shabba found himself entranced by the energy, rhythm, and charisma of the performance. It was at that moment that Shabba realized his true calling wasn't in laboring with bottles. It was in creating the very sounds that made people move. Despite facing challenges and obstacles, Shabba remained determined to pursue his dream. He was expelled from school, a decision that further distanced him from the typical path of success that many of his peers followed. However, rather than seeing this as a setback, Shabba saw it as a sign that his destiny lay elsewhere. His ambitions were clear to those around him. Josie Wales, recognizing the young man's potential, took him under his wing, offering mentorship and guidance. One day, Wales pulled Shabba aside and urged him to focus on making something of himself. He even extended an invitation to the studio, an opportunity that would prove to be a turning point in Shabba's life. Entering the dance hall arena. At just 16 years old, Shabba entered the studio alongside some of Jamaica's most promising artists. The session was hosted by none other than King Jammy, one of the most influential producers in reggae and dancehall history. Jammy was immediately struck by the teenager's deep voice and lyrical intensity. At the time, Shaba was performing under the stage name Co-Pilot, but his raw talent was undeniable. His first recorded track, Heat Under Sufferer's Feet, marked his official entry into the world of music and set the stage for what was to come. Not long after, Shaba adopted the name Shabba Ranks, a moniker that would soon become synonymous with dancehall excellence. The name had a certain swagger to it, a confidence that Shaba would carry with him throughout his career. By the late 1980s, Shaba had begun building a name for himself in Jamaica and across the Caribbean. His 1988 debut album Rappin' with the Ladies was released through a small independent label in Queens, New York. While not yet a mainstream breakthrough, it was a crucial step in establishing his identity as a rising star. The album gained some recognition, but it wasn't until his subsequent releases that Shaba would truly make his mark on the world stage. The breakthrough. In 1989, Shaba released the album Just Reality, which featured the iconic track Dembo. Produced by Bobby Digital, the song became one of the most influential in dancehall history. Its signature rhythm, the Dembo rhythm, would go on to shape reggaeton, the Latin genre that exploded globally in the 2000s. Shaba may not have known it at the time, but his sound would leave a permanent mark on popular music around the world. It wasn't just a hit for Shaba, it was a hit for the genre as a whole, a moment that demonstrated how dancehall could be the foundation for new musical movements. But Shaba wasn't only changing the sound of music, he was also changing the very way people viewed dancehall culture. His bold fashion choices, which included brightly colored suits, meticulously manicured eyebrows, and flashy gold jewelry, made him stand out visually just as much as he did sonically. His image embodied the exuberance and defiance of the music itself. Combined with his booming voice, infectious hooks, and raw energy, Shaba's style made him a natural fit for the burgeoning music video era of the early 90s. He was as much a fashion icon as he was a musical one. His momentum caught the attention of major players in the American music industry. Epic Records signed him in 1989, and this deal opened the door for Shaba to bring dancehall to a mainstream global audience. With a powerful marketing machine behind him, he was poised to dominate. No longer confined to the Caribbean, Shaba was now a global artist, with his music being played on mainstream radio stations across the US, the UK, and beyond. His appeal transcended borders, and it seemed as though nothing could stop his rise. Grammy Gold and crossover hits Shabba Ranks' major label debut, As Raw as Ever, dropped in 1990, and propelled him into international stardom. The album featured collaborations with artists like Maxi Priest, and delivered tracks that gained serious radio play across the US, UK, and Caribbean. Songs like Ting-A-Ling and Tribal War further solidified his place in the global music scene. Shaba's powerful baritone voice and his unique blend of reggae and dancehall rhythms struck a chord with audiences worldwide. In 1992, his groundbreaking success culminated in a Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album for As Raw as Ever, making him the first dancehall artist ever to receive the honor. This achievement marked a historic moment not just for Shaba, but for dancehall music as a whole. It was a validation of the genre's global appeal and potential. Shaba's Grammy win was a symbol of his hard work, and the recognition of dancehall as an influential force in music. It was a crowning moment for an artist whose journey had only just begun. He followed it up with Extra Naked in 1992, which won him another Grammy the following year. By this time, Shaba was on top of the world. His hits, Ting-A-Ling, Trailer Load of Girls, and Wicked in a Bed, became dancehall anthems. His crossover appeal was cemented by the global success of Mr. Loverman, a track that blended dancehall and R&B, featuring vocals from singer Chevelle Franklin. Interestingly, Mr. Loverman was a re-recorded version of Champion Lover, originally sung by British Guyanese artist Deborah Glasgow. Glasgow sadly passed away from lymphoma at just 29 years old, and Shaba honored her legacy by re-recording the track with Franklin. The song became his biggest international hit, and a staple of 90s reggae fusion. At this point, Shaba was touring the globe, appearing on American talk shows, collaborating with rap and R&B artists, and living the high life. He wasn't just Jamaica's biggest export, he was redefining what it meant to be a dancehall artist in the modern world. Controversy and career decline. But in 1992, just as his career had reached its zenith, controversy brought it all crashing down. During an appearance on the UK music show The Word, Shaba made comments perceived as homophobic. When pressed on his stance, his statements triggered widespread backlash across international media. In a time when tolerance and inclusivity were beginning to take center stage in pop culture, Shaba's remarks were seen as damaging and outdated. Radio stations stopped playing his songs, music television channels pulled his videos, and his association with Epic Records began to deteriorate. Even Bobby Brown, who had planned to include Shaba in an upcoming tour, quickly distanced himself. Almost overnight, the doors that had once been flung wide open to Shabba Ranks began to close. Despite issuing a public apology and attempting to clarify his comments, the damage had been done. His image had shifted from groundbreaking superstar to controversial figure, and the industry moved on. Life after the spotlight. Following his decline in popularity in the mid-90s, Shaba Ranks receded from the limelight. While he continued to make music and perform sporadically, the international buzz that had once surrounded him faded. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Shaba chose a relatively private path. In 2012, he made a much-anticipated return to Jamaica's Reggae Sumfest, performing for the first time in the country in over a decade. The crowd welcomed him like royalty, reaffirming that while the international market may have moved on, his place in Jamaican music history was secure. In recent years, Shaba has spoken out about the exploitation of artists in the music industry. He's been critical of record labels and producers who profit from artists' work without providing fair compensation or ownership. His fight for the rights of musicians reflects a deeper awareness of the business behind the music, one that many emerging artists still grapple with today. The legacy Shaba Ranks' meteoric rise and subsequent fall were as dramatic and compelling as any legend in modern music history. Yet, despite the tumultuous trajectory of his career, his contributions to the global music scene remain indisputable and deeply influential. As one of dancehall's most iconic and groundbreaking artists, Shaba played a pivotal role in bridging the cultural and sonic gap between Jamaica and the broader international stage. His bold style, gravelly voice, and unapologetic swagger laid the foundation for the next generation of artists, including notable names such as Sean Paul, Beanie Man, and Vybz Kartel. The legacy he forged during the height of his popularity continues to reverberate throughout the music world, serving as a blueprint for what modern dancehall music could become. While his career would eventually be marred by controversy, it is undeniable that Shaba's influence extended far beyond his home island. Elements of his work and stylistic imprint can still be traced in the rhythms and cadences of reggaeton, the melodies of Afrobeats, and even the structures of mainstream pop music. In an era increasingly defined by its global interconnectedness, where genres and borders blur with ease, the fingerprints of Shaba Ranks remain omnipresent. More than 30 years after he first stepped into the limelight, Shaba Ranks is still often hailed as the Emperor of Dancehall. This lofty title reflects not only his dominance during the genre's golden era, but also the lasting impact of a musical pioneer who dared to dream beyond the limitations of his immediate environment. He was not just a performer. He was a trailblazer, who helped redefine the possibilities of Caribbean music on a global scale. However, Shabba Ranks' career also serves as a cautionary tale, one that highlights the consequences of controversial speech and the evolving expectations placed on public figures in the cultural sphere. In the early 1990s, when his fame was at its zenith, Shabba faced a defining moment that would dramatically alter both his public image and his career trajectory. At that time, Shabba had become a global ambassador for dancehall music, known for his commanding presence, signature growl, and a boundary-pushing fusion of reggae and hip-hop. But in 1992, a controversial appearance on British television would derail that momentum. During an interview, he was asked to comment on the backlash surrounding fellow Jamaican artist Buju Banton and his song Boom Bye Bye, which had received international condemnation for lyrics perceived as advocating violence against the LGBTQ+ community. Advocacy groups including GLAAD, Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, had already highlighted the song as symptomatic of a deeper issue within the genre, one of systemic homophobia. When asked for his perspective on the matter, Shabba echoed views that aligned with the song's troubling message. He stated that those who went against biblical teachings deserved crucifixion, and affirmed his belief in traditional gender roles, particularly in the context of procreation. These statements, broadcast live on a widely viewed music program, stunned audiences across the globe. The show's host, Mark Lamar, challenged him in real time, but the damage was already done. Within hours, media outlets were abuzz with headlines dissecting the incident and its broader implications. The backlash was immediate and severe. Within weeks of the interview, Shabba was dropped from Bobby Brown's UK tour, and his slated appearance at a major music festival was cancelled, after law enforcement classified him as a potential security risk. Industry professionals, promoters, and executives began to distance themselves not just from Shabba as an individual, but from the dancehall genre as a whole. At a time when dancehall was only beginning to gain mainstream traction, the controversy intensified existing skepticism and stigma, casting a long shadow over the entire genre. In the wake of the uproar, Shabba issued a formal public apology. His statement read, "Looking back, I now realize that those comments were wrong because they advocated violence against gay men and lesbians. I regret making those statements. I do not condone any violence against gay men and lesbians or any other human being. It is wrong to criticize homosexuals." While the apology marked an important step toward reconciliation, it did little to repair the extensive damage to his career. By then, the fallout had grown too large to contain. The incident triggered widespread conversations about homophobia in dancehall music and ushered in a wave of real-world consequences. Concerts were cancelled, record deals evaporated, and several artists were compelled to sign binding contracts promising to exclude any discriminatory or inflammatory content from their performances. The dancehall community, already on precarious footing internationally, was forced to reckon with a changing cultural climate that demanded accountability and inclusivity. For Shabba Ranks, the consequences were deeply personal. His album sales plummeted, and his subsequent releases failed to capture the critical acclaim or commercial success of his earlier work. Within a year of the controversy, his record label parted ways with him. Disillusioned by the abrupt turn in industry support and feeling the weight of relentless media scrutiny, Shabba made the decision to withdraw from the limelight. That same year, he married Michelle, and together they began a new chapter focused on family and personal growth. The couple raised 2 sons, Rexton Jr. and John, and sought solace in a quieter, more stable life. Relocating to the United States, Shabba shifted his focus to parenting and reflection. For years, he maintained a low public profile, staying away from the industry that once celebrated him. Yet, despite his absence from the spotlight, the respect for his pioneering role in dancehall remained among fans and peers alike. In April 2011, Shaba made a tentative return to the music scene with the release of None of Dem, a single that featured vocals from his wife, Michelle. The song was a modest re-entry, but it marked the beginning of a slow and deliberate comeback. A year later, he collaborated with rapper Ting-A-Ling on the track Boy Toy from the EBAH album, signaling his interest in bridging the gap between genres once again. The true turning point came in 2013, when A$AP Ferg released the viral hit Shaba, a song that paid homage to the dancehall icon. The track brought Shaba's name to a younger audience, sparking renewed interest in his music and legacy. His memorable cameo in the music video and participation in the official remix, alongside Migos and Busta Rhymes, helped reintroduce him to the cultural conversation and reignited discussions about his contributions to global music. Although no full-length album followed, the renewed spotlight placed Shaba back into the public consciousness. Over time, his presence began to increase. Then, in 2024, after more than a decade of relative musical quiet, Shaba made a triumphant return to the Jamaican music scene. In April of that year, he performed at a tribute event honoring Beverly Kelso, the last surviving member of the original Wailers. The performance was more than symbolic. It reaffirmed his deep-rooted place within the historical tapestry of reggae and dancehall music. In August 2024, Shaba returned to the UK for a headline performance at the Reggae Land Festival, marking his first major show there in many years. The reception was overwhelmingly positive, demonstrating that his fan base, though quieted, had never disappeared. In November 2024, he performed once again at the Reggae Love Fest in New York City, continuing his re-entry into live performance and proving that his passion for the stage still burned brightly. Today, Shaba Ranks resides in New York City with his wife and sons. Their family home, a 5,000-square-foot estate, seamlessly blends timeless elegance with modern comfort. The house features 5 generously sized bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms, a high-end kitchen equipped with a butler's pantry, and a formal dining room ideal for both intimate family dinners and lively gatherings. A sunlit 4-season porch offers a tranquil escape, providing year-round comfort in the midst of a bustling city. The property's functionality matches its charm. It includes a heated and insulated 2-bay garage, a separate 3-bay garage, and a massive 30 by 60-foot shed that could be used for storage, artistic projects, or even music production. 3 garden sheds and an unfinished loft provide room for creativity and future expansions. Shaba's lifestyle today reflects the evolution of a man who has weathered the storms of fame and controversy and emerged with a renewed sense of purpose. While his past includes undeniable missteps, his ability to acknowledge those errors, take time for introspection, and eventually re-enter the music world on his own terms speaks to resilience and maturity. In the end, Shaba Ranks' story is about more than music. It is about the complexities of fame, the weight of public accountability, and the difficult road to redemption. His journey forces us to grapple with the difficult question: can someone who once erred so gravely be welcomed back with grace if they show growth and genuine remorse? So, does Shaba Ranks deserve a second chance? Or were the consequences he faced a necessary and enduring reckoning? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth stories that explore the lives of music legends who continue to shape the culture through triumph, tragedy, and transformation.